So we're recording, and I am going to share my screen, which should have the agenda on it because the agenda has the handbook. So that's where we're going today, is we're going to look at the
Okay.
handbook and any feedback, and all. It's huge. And so I'll go quickly through it, but if you have any feedback anywhere along the way, and it's mainly just kind of walking you through it quickly because you can go back and look at specific things that you're interested in. And if there's specific things that you think, I want to look more closely at this, and then give me feedback later, you can
Okay.
email me any information. You say, okay, now, yeah, it says my internet's unstable, so we'll cross our fingers.
Right.
I'm going to show you where you find it. Let me know
Okay.
that it changed tabs to the North Little Rock page, or do I need to stop sharing? Can you see North Little Rock?
I can.
Okay, good. So I tried to share the whole screen and not just that one tab. So when you're at the North Little Rock page and you click menu, you get this drop down, and I have a GT webpage, Gifted and Talented.
Okay.
Find the Gifted and Talented page. It has a variety of information. One of the important ones that I really like is this: how do I know if they're really gifted? That we can have a bright child and high achiever, we can have a gifted learner, and then there's problems. A gifted child, sometimes there's issues connected to that. But today we're going to just focus on the GT handbook. So you click the GT handbook, it pops up for you. This is our updated version with Dr. Paluski listed on it.
With Dr. Paluski. Okay.
Right, Dr. Paluski is our new superintendent. And then there are all of the pages with the content. So you could jump to a page if you really were interested in a specific thing, the updated school board and the school zones. Then I even have a little page. You can find this page on our website with people's names. So when you go in that menu under staff, that's where I got that from, is the menu. And then it has, it has staff. And that tells you all the district staff. You get all of the district level staff. And that's what that GT page was. When you're at a particular building, if you click sites and you're on a building and you click staff, then you get the staff of that building. So I have the district staff listed in the GT handbook. And then for building leaders, I've, given that information for the web page. And then just a quick philosophy. Most of this comes from the National Association of Gifted Children. Some of it was already in the original handbook, and then also tweaked a bit from GT teachers and parents, and then the AGAT, and then the State Department. So the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed. So we tried to match what almost everyone says about the philosophy of gifted children. But our school district believes that we're developing the unique potential of gifted and talented student, that it requires differentiated educational programs and or services beyond those normally provided. So again, you can read kind of that philosophy. It fits into a lot, the NHEC and AGAT and the State Department. So we're going to try to create the program options that help children. I've put here, of course, the word quest. And then for elementary parents, they recognize that. They don't know what that means at secondary. And I put this lovely little picture of AP for the advanced placement program for as your child grows and goes to high school. There's even what's called the capstone diploma program. So they have to be in they have to be an AP seminar, an AP research class. And then they have 4 AP exams that they make a score of a 3 or higher. And so that's how they get an AP capstone diploma, but they can become part of that program. And that's one of the ways we meet the needs of gifted students and that's what the State Department says. Yes, advanced placement classes meet the needs of gifted students. So then I have a very long list of program goals that you can look back later, see the details of. Do you have a question?
No.
Yeah, okay. So just things like self-concept, interpersonal relations, decision-making, leadership, personal growth, research and independent learning, creative thinking, critical thinking, communication, and even 21st century skills. So those are kind of the overview of the goals that we're trying to help our gifted students if they can achieve all of those, we'll be very happy. And it should help them be successful in high school and college and beyond. And then we have a definition that gifted and talented children and youth are those of high potential or ability. Their characteristics are different. That's why they need, this different approach and different help and a little bit beyond what's just the classroom. And then just the rationale of they learn quickly in general, 1 or 2 repetitions, they're done, they got it. They need something else. So that's why we talk about this lovely word differentiation as well. And then they may be intense, but again, all children can be different. So even all gifted children can be different from each other as well. Now you notice the vision is missing because we are adapting and adjusting, and I'm going to get lots of feedback from parents and teachers. And I want, what is our vision? What is that supposed to be for us? Now, right now, we just have the main mission that we're providing challenging experiences and opportunities for the whole child so that each can achieve full potential. But what does that mean? So we're going to work on the details of that. And again, your feedback would be great. Anything you want to throw out there about that. And then referrals. So this is all about the referral process, the steps. According to the State Department, referrals can be from anyone. The parent, the student themselves, the student's friend, teachers, anybody. If somebody walks up to a GT facilitator and says, I would like to refer so-and-so, then we investigate. We find out, okay, why did they say this? What's going on? Why did they think this? It tends to be parents or teachers in general because parents know their children and teachers are getting to know the children in the classroom. Usually for teacher referrals and even for parents, we say the teacher has to get to know the child because they have to fill out a form and give information. And if it's the first day of school, the teacher's not going to give very good information about the child. So we try to give some time there so we can get good and accurate data. But the GT facilitators provide training so that the teachers can learn about how do I refer and what am I looking for. But we do receive from multiple sources. It looks like I'm offline, but maybe it won't. I seem like you're still there, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I hear you.
It said offline, and I'm like, but Ms. Kelly?
Yeah, you froze for just a second, but it was okay.
So, but we use a variety of information. So basically this referral page is the written version, and we've got a non-discrimination policy. We've got a GT case study committee. We've got the case study. This is all the written version of what's laid out on the next page, the instruments of identification. So as we take a referral, we collect all of this information. And so all of this information is on the page about the Renzulli scales from the teacher. There's something called creative positives among the culturally different. There's a little kindergarten checklist we've created to help really look when we're looking at a whole group of students and looking at those children. And so we look at all of these different instruments. There is one of them, the Renzulli's got a little asterisk because due to copyright, it is not in the handbook. And so we have a scale that's not in the handbook that you can't see because of copyright. A lot of the other information is in the handbook, so you can see it. And then there's the parent notification as we're in the identification process. There's a whole procedure that we do so that the student placement decision is multiple things. As you saw on this other page, here's all of these instruments we use. We do not use a single cutoff score and say, oh, I'm sorry, honey, you didn't make a 30 on this test. You didn't make it. That we don't use a single score. Neither do we use a single score to place a child. A child can do well on one single test. Well, we want all the information about the child, and that can include anecdotes from parents. Parent, it fills out that question. You may remember that questionnaire you filled out. So anything that helps the child look good, do they really need gifted services? we can quote the parent on our forms as well and say, here's all the information we know about this child. It is a blind screening process. So how we do that with the information about the child is the committee, each GT facilitator will present their group of children. So that GT facilitator knows the children already. The committee does not. So let's say the president of the United States son is being referred. We won't know which one that is. You know, we don't know who that is. We're not going to place them just because they're the kid of the president. So, you know, we're looking, but the GT facilitator can give us information about why the child needs gifted services based on this child is both hardworking and this child. And so there's that anecdotal information that can be added to all of this because the facilitator does know the child, but she's just not going to tell us it's the president's child. Here's all to help us make the decision. So again, blind screening for all the committee except the teacher presenting, and they each present their children. So they each present the group. And then the whole committee has to agree and sign off on it. And occasionally there's debates there, you know, that some of them will say, well, I really, really think so. And some of them say, well, I'm just not so sure. And so there will be a very good discussion regarding, does this child really need gifted services? And then that case study committee is shared with classroom teachers in order for them to help meet the needs of those children because they're going to have them in the classroom as well. They're still in their classroom. So we share that information. And then we have officially the due process. So really, when you're looking at this written information up here, and then you're looking at the list of instruments, there's this next page, the due process is the steps. So it kind of lays it out. Number one, referrals are initiated. Number two, here's these lovely forms and what we call them, that those forms are submitted to the GT facilitator. Basically, GP1 is the actual referral that the classroom teacher will fill out, and they may say the parent referred them, or they may say teacher referred them, I referred them. And that's submitted to the GT facilitator to really start all the process. The parents do have to sign permission for testing. So this process will freeze if we don't have a parent signature. You know, we'll say, I'm sorry. Yeah, we can start asking teachers stuff, but we're not going to test a child until the parent gives permission. So this gives those steps. And then students new to the district that were identified elsewhere, we look at all their data and look, you know, how do they match and fit into our district. We also are looking at something called building level norms. So having a child from another district that's been placed, we want them to also fit into our building as well. And so that's that kind of the idea of building level norms. Does this child need gifted services in our districts? We look at those children, and most of the time it's fine. All the various people where children are coming from, we agree with. You know, there's rarely a case that we wouldn't agree with someone else's placement. But we do look at it. You know, that's just one of those steps that we just want to make sure we're meeting the needs of all our children. And then occasionally, you know, lucky number 13, sometimes it seems services are no longer appropriate for a given student. But we have procedures in place for that as well. A teacher is not just going to say, oh, you don't need this anymore. You know, there are steps that they take. We have to contact parents. We have to look at the child. We have a process really to evaluate the child annually, so a student annual evaluation. And in general, most of those student annual evaluations are real quick and fine. But if a child is having trouble, sometimes it's a little slower and we do deeper investigation. Welcome back.
Okay. Last thing I heard was lucky number 13. Occasionally students don't need
that's lucky number 13. I will go back to our lucky number 13, which did seem to help with our little problem. I don't know. Let me get that out of the way. Okay, so lucky number 13. With children, sometimes it seems that servicers are no longer appropriate for any given child, a specific child. And so we actually have a student annual evaluation procedure that, in general, most students, we can quickly say they're doing just fine, everything's wonderful. Every once in a while, there's something maybe going on that we need to investigate. And so not only do we investigate, but we work with the children to see what's going on. We have procedures in place. I had a child once that I personally helped, and I asked him, what can I do? I am the GT coordinator. What can I do to help you and make this work for you so that you get the gifted services you need? And then what can the teacher do as far as differentiation, and what are your interests, and how can the classroom teacher support you? And then what are you as a student going to do? Because part of his was motivation, just, I know, I need to really get with it and do my stuff. And so he knew what he needed to do. And we put a plan in place for him. So we got a plan in place. He had the steps he was going to do. The teacher agreed to the things she was going to do to help support him, including he even knew students. I can work well if I have to work with a group of somebody and collaborate. I need to work with this person or these people, and I really like this other person a lot, so much that I probably need to not work with that person because we just visit and hang out. And so he knew those things. He knew those things about himself. And so we really do everything we can to support the student and help them. But occasionally it just doesn't work, and our gifted services are not helping them, and they know it. Sometimes the parents are going, yeah, they need to just be in the regular classroom. And so occasionally, and a parent can ask for that without all the process too. But if a parent asks for it, it's fine. If we are doing it, we go through the process to make sure, do they really need the gifted services still? And so there is a parent appeal when a child is not placed. There is that parent appeal in place, so that we then meet, we have another committee meeting and look at data and pull more information. And sometimes parents will bring us more information. So we will add as much data and information to help with the process, and to say, no, the committee really was wrong the first time. And so a committee will meet and go, we're looking at all this new data, and oh, wait, we have found new data. Actually, for example, one child we did not know, and we don't base it on one test score, as I said, but we didn't know that she took our GT test the day after her grandmother died. And oh, yeah. And so that affected her test score. She did not do well on her little test for us. We didn't know it. And so the committee meets and looks, and the data doesn't look like she needs gifted services. Well, then we find out that information. We need to give her another test, a different one. It can't be the same one, but we need to give her another test. And so then we get more information to find out, yeah, there's an appeal. We can appeal, and we find out the information, and she really did need gifted services. Those type of things can happen. And then we have this annual evaluation procedures that I mentioned that we go through, and that parents are contacted as part of that. A plan of action can be in place when we need it. I talked about that. Then program options. There's the curriculum that we do. So we have curriculum for identified students. Currently, we're using something called Think Law, and it is critical thinking skills, and it's using law cases and how lawyers present things, and looking at both sides of the story, and victims, and who's really to blame, so that even something like kindergarten can look at Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Did Goldilocks break and enter? Or what's going on? Who's at fault? And but Goldilocks burned her mouth on the soup. So can she sue the bears because she burned herself? So it makes children think critically about a variety of issues and think from all sides of things. So we have curriculum in place for those type of things. And we document everything. You may lose me again here in a second. There's curriculum here and the things we do for in-depth learning, self-selected topics. So here is the ways we can differentiate. We can differentiate by content, process, product, or even the environment. And classroom teachers can do this as well. Then I have the elementary information about Quest. So you're very familiar with that. When they get to middle school, there is, and here I've said, attended the required College Board 2-day training. So right now, almost all of our teachers have done that. We're transitioning now for the middle school. We're doing something called laying the foundation training. And so that's for all of our advanced classes. And those classroom teachers are trained for that. And students are in advanced classes. So they'll be in their advanced classes. They're called advanced classes. And that's how we're meeting the needs of GT students in 6th grade. In 7th and 8th, we actually have a GT pullout. So during our electives, yes, ma'am.
Miss Curley.
Yes, ma'am.
I am so sorry. You cut out as soon as you said the name of the program for you said 6th grade is called, and then you cut out.
Okay. Well, no, it's good to know because we are recording and someone else will need to hear that. They're called advanced classes.
Okay.
So they're no longer pre-AP
Okay.
because College Board has taken over pre-AP. College Board said pre-AP.
Yeah, we have high school. So.
Yeah, pre-AP 9th grade. So it's pre-AP English 1 for 9th grade. So we have that now at the high school, or that's what's possible. Right now, we're calling all of our classes advanced classes. And teachers are trained in something called laying the foundation. So they have the laying the foundation training. In 7th and 8th grade, I actually have a certified teacher that's certified in gifted education. And she pulls students for 150 minutes during the week, usually during their electives. So my 8th grade son, Ben, actually occasionally misses something called outdoor adventure. So he misses that class every once in a while. And what students do is they just go to their elective teacher. They say, what am I going to miss today? I'm going to enrichment. They get their assignments. They go to enrichment and do whatever assignments the teacher needs. Some of those teachers compact, and so the students don't have to do extra stuff. They just prove they know that they've learned what they need to learn and prove they know what they need to know, and then they can be in their enrichment class. And she's also using the Think Law in her middle school, 7th and 8th. And so then high school, this explains the classes. It actually lists all the AP classes that we offer. We've been adding some new ones. We have AP Music Theory this year. And so we are gradually adding more and more new AP classes. And then depending on enrollment, if enough students enroll, we have the possibility of AP Statistics, which the class made this year. AP Environmental Science, I can't remember if that one made or not. So some years they make and some years they don't, depending on enrollment for the high school. And then community involvement, today you are my parent advisory committee, but we have a list. So different people show up for different meetings. And so I had a different parent at my last meeting. But anything you want to tell me or suggestions or ideas, if you go back into this handbook and look and go, the language in this handbook is not parent friendly. Would you please tone it down? Or you can tell me a page number is a bunch of gobbledygook, and can I make that clearer on whatever page? And so we can tweak and fix all sorts of things short of what the State Department says. These are your standards you must do. You must have 150-minute pullout for Quest at the elementary level. That's just a State Department requirement. And then the AP training is a State Department requirement. Teachers that teach AP classes have to be AP trained, and so they all attend. And then we've had a partner in education. She's helped us in the past. The pandemic's kind of messed with a lot of things this year. And then even in my handbook, I've got my job description. So my job description's there. I've got the job description for the teachers of GT, so you can see what just that job description looks like. And then the professional development that we both attend and provide. So we provide professional development in the district to our teachers as well. And then we have this annual evaluation. We send out surveys. We take information and feedback from a variety of sources. So even things that you email me become part of this evaluation to say, would you fix this? Or I like this, or I don't like that. Anything you tell me. And then at the end here of the handbook, we have a variety of checklists to help teachers know what they're looking for. Because sometimes for this one, identifying language minority students with high potential, they're not going to look like your normal child necessarily. As a teacher says, this is a teacher pleaser, and they refer all their little teacher pleasers in the room. Well, we teach them that there are other things to look for in students. So this is a list of those type of things that they look for. And then we have a checklist for minority and economically disadvantaged students, things to look for that might not be the normal thing a teacher would just, a teacher sees a kid that works hard and is bright, and it just that child jumps out at them. Well, there's other things that need to jump out. So we teach the teachers, look for these things as well. There are a variety of things that jump out at us. And then after that are all the forms. And I'm sure you've seen all of these forms. So lots of those. And then the information to parents, I'm just scrolling through. And then what I did with this one, this is your parent questionnaire, but for space, I just left off the blanks for filling it in. So it's just so that you can see quickly what the questions are. When we send out the questionnaire, it has the places for the blanks for the parent to have lots of space to write. So usually about 3 or 4 lines for each of those questions. And then all the data of the referral has been gathered. So we have in all these lovely numbers, GP7NP. So we have all these numbers, but the NP is the not placed version of the letter. So some parents, receive this letter. Some parents receive the placed letter, GP7P. And what happened is the parent committee a few years ago said they want this. We used to require parents to come and sit down and have a conference, and they didn't know if their child needed gifted services or not until that conference, and they were sitting with the GT facilitator. And the parents on that committee that year said, that's stressful. We don't want to do that. Send us the letter. If it's a not placed letter, I can cry at home, get over my tears, and ask for a conference. If my child is placed, I'm not going to cry. I'm real happy, and I may not even want a conference. So, don't make me come to a conference either to cry or because I don't have to. I'm happy they need gifted services. So one of my parent committees helped us make that decision that year. And so we have the 2 different letters. They go home, and then they have the check at the bottom to say, yeah, I do want to have a conference or not. And then we have a signature page that we have to sign off and say, this is the decision of the committee. The parent gets the decision of the committee on this form. And then we even have a release of records. We don't have to use that really as often these days because in Arkansas, we can share educational records with other educators. So if you were to move to another district or really even out of state in general, we're pretty flexible. We can find out, yes, this really is a public education. This is a school. We're really sending it. We're not sending it to some random scam or stranger out there. And then we have all the documents here in Spanish as well. So we've gotten all, Mrs. Touchstone very graciously translated those for us. And so that should be near the end. I think I've got my parent committee on the last page. So I've got a list in the years that different people have served and the buildings that we've had. And so back to our agenda, I went way over time. We're supposed to be finished at 7:37. I was just going to throw out some information, just a few minutes of information on the 7th and 8th grade, and I actually did that during the handbook time. We are going to have a GT seminar at high school now, so we're very excited about that. And it'll be a variety of things with research skills and kind of academic things to support students. And again, kind of like an elective that they can take. And then any questions that you have or any suggestions or ideas before we say bye? I can unmute you. Give me just a second. Well, maybe I can unmute you.
I got you right there.
There we go.
The only question I had was, as far as the COE, is that specifically to serve GT students for the high school level, or is that something completely separate?
It's a different school. So actually, we have 2 high schools in one high school. There's the North Little Rock High School, and then there's the Center of Excellence, which is its own high school, even though they're in the same building. So as a parent, what you'll want to do is investigate those options and what the 2 buildings offer, because you can apply for your student to be in the COE. And there are advantages both directions. So it really is based on your child and what your child needs. And by the time your child is in high school, then you'll probably have a better sense of the Center of Excellence and what that means. The Center of Excellence started out not having AP classes when they first started. And so my Center of Excellence students would take advanced placement high school classes. But then the Center of Excellence has now started adding advanced placement classes. So they have their own advanced placement classes, but they don't necessarily have all of them yet. They don't have as many. So the Center of Excellence students will sometimes take, I'm going to take this Center of Excellence AP course because the Center of Excellence offers this, AP English, say, and the Center of Excellence is the only one that offers computer science, AP computer science. The high school students then have to take AP Computer Science at the Center of Excellence. So there's some sharing of classes when needed. But if AP Music Theory is a North Little Rock High School class, so a Center of Excellence student would have to take music theory at the high school. So, but they're all in the same building, so it makes that easy enough for the students.
Okay.
But yeah, very good question. And again, it's just two separate high schools, and it kind of depends on your focus. I want to say this carefully. The Center of Excellence does have career and technical education and a very, very good programs in that. And so sometimes students select it based on that, based on some of the course offerings. But then also students, we have some good relationships with area schools. So Metro, Pulaski Techs, we have some concurrent credit courses. I know one high school senior that actually, can't remember exactly which college he goes to, but he has a welding class at the end of the day. And so he has permission to leave the high school and go to his welding class at the college. Maybe Pulaski Tech, but I'm not entirely sure which college he goes to. So yeah, cool. And if you think of anything, if you sit down and look over the handbook and notice something, even if it's something as simple as a typo, like, oh my goodness, how did I miss that? Feel free. Any feedback is welcome. And then anyone that's watching this recording can certainly contact me and curlinb@nlrsd.org. And thank you so much for participating tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sorry for the few technical glitches. You have a good evening.
Oh, it's okay. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.